I think it's probably a reflection of how I think about my life holistically. So I've always been incredibly inquisitive, and my parents will tell you I was a very, very challenging child because of this. I always wanted to know the why behind things. It wasn't just sufficient to me to get good grades. I needed to understand the importance of that and what was the point of doing well at school and why did I need to go to university. And I wanted to travel. I got my pilot's license when I was 15 because I thought that was imperatively important because I was going to be traveling a lot. So who else was going to fly the plane? I just had this incredible thirst for knowledge and self-improvement from a very young age, and that I sort of applied to my entire life.
How'd that go down at the Gold Coast?
Oh, look, it was really painful for my parents mostly. They absolutely supported me in all of my, wild goals and dreams and ambitions, and let me go and gave me a lot of freedom, let me go and really explore that, and always gave me a safe harbor to come home to. But I can imagine I was an absolute nightmare to have around because of that. Because why can't you just, why is it just not enough? So look, I think that shows up in my commercial drive and success, but it certainly obviously presents itself in the other elements of my life. And as you touched on, some of them are, for me, exercise, it's something that I have come to realize is very, very important to me, and it sets me up for mental success. And it's really that only time of my day that is completely selfishly my own.
How are you measuring and how are you tracking your performance and your improvement?
So I do quarterly blood tests to make sure that everything I'm taking is working and that there's nothing else out of balance. And as we all know, there's been a myriad of different flus and viruses and COVID going around. Touch wood, I still have managed to avoid getting that, which is a Christmas miracle. So I do quarterly blood tests, and then I use a sports watch. I use a Garmin, and I track all of my walks and runs, Pilates, obviously all the exercises that I do, I track in that. I use the step tracker in that as well to keep a track of how many sort of steps I do. My resting heart rate as well, because that gives me a really good indication of what my stress levels are like, especially if I've got, particularly, busy period with a deployment of a big feature at work or something like that. I'm very mindful that sleep has a big impact on that as well. So I'm trying to measure. Touch wood, I'm very, very lucky that I've never had sleep problems and I can sleep just about anywhere. But I'm also very mindful of getting enough sleep. So I will be the first to flake on a dinner and say, look, it's much more important to me to be able to get, a full 8 hours sleep or at least 7 hours sleep in and be able to get up early and train than it is to go out late at night. I'm certainly not a night owl, especially as I get older. So I am very conscious of that. And I used to be really terrible at saying no. I used to feel incredibly guilty, and I really took it very seriously. Like if I'd been invited to something or if I'd made a commitment, and of course, I still do my absolute very best to honor commitments, but I'm also really much more, I think, mature now in understanding that the world doesn't stop and start with me, and that it's much more important for me to be well, mentally and emotionally and physically, to be able to show up for everyone that needs me, my team, my partner, my friends, my family, than it is to be, present at an event or, go to a social activity that's maybe not going to sustain me and top me up. So I'm just much more conscious about how I balance my diary. I really look at it on the weekend and go, okay, what have I got coming up next week? What out of that can I genuinely commit to? And then feeling okay with saying no. And I actually had to get someone to write a template for me because I felt so guilty about it. But a no template for when people ask me for things like, can I have a coffee to catch up, to pick your brain on something? Or, I've got a really great template now that just is really realistic with what I can and can't commit to. Because I think especially as women, we are so guilty of overextending ourselves and then ending up compromising ourselves, which is, such a shame, because we are genuinely usually the ones that have to extend ourselves more for friends and family and be that support network. So
what I like about your business model, which makes you, of course, thoroughly modern, is that, you are the creator of, I guess, the engineering format of the different businesses, but you featured as an influencer or as talent for clients as well. And One of the ones that, a brand that we both love is La Prairie, which is the Swiss skincare brand, super luxurious, incredibly efficacious, one of the master anti-aging brands of the world. And I'd love you to share, how that relationship came about and why in a sea of brands that I'm sure you get, you make money to be part of, this relationship kind of worked for you.
Absolutely. So you're right. I'm so lucky to have a platform of my own that I get to use to partner with brands and share messages that are really meaningful to me. I guess the fortunate part for me is that it's a supplement to my existing career. And so I get to be really choosy in who I work with. And what I love about that is it does mean that I can only take on ambassadorships that I'm really, really passionate about with brands that I really love. So one of those is La Prairie. And obviously the brand is just incredible. That it has completely transformed my skin. And, that is so easy to see. If you look at photos from me from, 6-7 years ago and look at my skin from then till now, obviously I'm 7 years older, but I am, my skin is just incredibly better than it ever was before. So I deeply believe in their products. I absolutely love how they work with their ambassadors and their partners and family. And I cannot speak more highly of them as a brand.
They are pretty amazing.
Yeah, they have such a clear identity and they really know who they are. And I think that is so rare in such a cluttered market. To be able to be so consistent over such a long period of time, and they truly champion the causes that they get involved in.
Do you do any kind of aesthetic treatments as well? We've never really talked about that. I've seen on your Instagram you've had like PRP and laser and stuff, but tell me what you do.
Look, I do absolutely love trying everything. So I've had skin needling, I've had Botox, I've tried. I've tried PRP. I've tried all former as well. I've had full face of skin needling, my chest. So look, I do love experimenting. I do love researching and finding out what else is in the market and what's new, and seeing what works for my skin, and then trying to find a good routine of things that work. And sometimes it just comes back to the basics, like getting a regular peel, getting microdermabrasions. Some of the things that have been around for a lot longer. And for me now, it's really about maintenance. It's about, being really consistent with those things and making sure I keep on top of it, keeping up. You can't just go and expect to do a treatment and then, have some miraculous overnight, success. For me, it's about making sure I keep on top of these things and I do them regularly. I use my treatments, at home and make sure that, I'm absolutely religious with skincare. I'm religious with sunscreen, all of those things that just make such a difference.
To wrap it up, I'd really like to ask you, what do you like better about yourself in your late 30s than you did maybe in your 20s? So it could be either physical or from an energy or personality perspective. What do you think has improved with age?
Absolutely everything. I look back and think I was completely insufferable in my 20s. I was so headstrong and I thought I knew everything. And, you just don't have any of the benefits of the learnings that you get as you age. Certainly my eyebrows are better. That was a terrible trend that we all went through, wasn't it?
The stripper brows of the 90s.
Oh, God, they were terrible. Mine were like tadpoles. They were hideous. But certainly, I think that the self-belief and the trust that you gain with yourself as you get older. I think in my 20s, whilst I was incredibly headstrong and on the surface probably seemed very confident, probably borderline arrogant, it actually comes from a deep place of insecurity. And I think as you age and you come to understand there's things in the world I'm good at and there's lots of things in the world that I'm not very good at. And there's people around me that are better at those things. And one of the strengths that I have now that I certainly didn't have then is identifying those things and putting my hand up and being able to ask for help and ask for support and saying, hey, I don't know how to do this thing, but you do. And could you help me? And that's taken me a long time to learn. And it's made me better as a partner. It's made me better as a friend. It's made me better as a boss. It's made me better as a co-worker. But it took a long time to learn. And, I think it's still a constant journey. I by no means think I've got it all sorted out, but I'm definitely making strides in the right direction, I think.